We're so happy that you're here with us. Invite your friends. It's not too late. We're going to be here for a little bit. And yes, thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Naila Summers Polite. I am the co-executive director of the Dream Defenders. You've joined Sunday School. Some of you may be returning. Some of you may be here for the first time. But Sunday School is a platform and event that has been growing and adapting with Dream Defenders since 2019. It began as a social media political education sort of graphic series. Then it became a monthly Zoom over the pandemic where we came together and learned and talked and cried about the state of the world. And then it became an in-person event that we started hosting in Florida and Washington, D.C., in New York, and in Chicago. But Sunday School is a place. It's a place to come fill your cup when the world gets dark. It's a place to learn collectively. It's a place to come to know that you're not losing your mind. This shit is hard and this shit gets bleak. It's a place to come where you know that the people on the other line, on the other side of the screen, on their phones, are in here with you, and they might be just like you. Sunday School is a place of hope, of solace, and of love, and we hope that today it is the place for you. Today, Sunday School is titled For the Love of Freedom. And every person on this call is here because we are motivated greatly by love. It is love of your neighbor that has made you angry at the injustices that we've been victims to or witnesses of. It is love of your family that makes you fear for them when they leave the house or when you're scrolling on social media or when you're seeing these ICE raids or police killings or any number of new cruelties that are unfolding before us. It is love that makes you shed tears when you see the bodies of Palestinians in the rubble in Gaza, or when you know that it's the second day of February and teachers across the country are being discouraged and watched and told not to teach or look too closely at Black history with their students. Or it's when you feel like it's all too much. It is love that does that. And Dream Defenders exist because 13 years ago, we felt anger, fear, and sadness at the killing of a young boy by the name of Trayvon Martin. Almost 13 years exactly. And we loved him, and we loved other children like him, and we didn't want to see any other Black children die. So we've been fighting for freedom ever since. It is love that stirs all of our spirits and makes us move and wants people to be free. Love is what gives us the hope necessary to fight for and imagine a better world. So with that, I'm very excited about our program today because we've got some incredible, amazing people with us who are so rooted in love that they became freedom fighters. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from poet and musician Melania Louisa Marte, the author of Plantains and Our Beginnings, Plantains and Our Becoming, Adaku Utah, an organizer, healing practitioner, coach, and strategist. Shaquille Fontenot, Dream Defenders, is national organizing director and a cultural worker out of South Carolina. We've got some OG Dream Defenders and some new Dream Defenders that are joining us. Sierra Taylor, Bryce Noel, Danica Larkin. We're also joined by Dream Defender Erica Cross, who is the director of our Dream Defenders Choir. We've got Delaney Vandergrift, a documentarian, an organizer, and a cultural worker. We've got Representative Rashida Tlaib coming to join us today. And we've got Dr. Ransby, distinguished professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago, author, movement strategist, and bridger of academia and the movement. And we are so lucky, fortunate, and humbled to have everyone here with us today. So we hope that today you leave with some hope. We hope that you leave here today with the next step. And we hope that you leave here motivated enough to take it. And with that, again, welcome to Sunday School. And we're going to get started with a poem from Melania. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. How's my sound? Is my sound good before I begin? I'm in the Dominican Republic right now, and we're in the middle of a little bit of rain, so bear with me, y'all. Okay. So this poem is from my collection, Plantains and Our Becoming. If you have the book, it's on page 90. It's called Climacteric Wonders, And it's after one of my beloved poems, my favorite poems from James Baldwin's collection of poems. And the poem is titled Staggerly Wonders. 1, I always wonder what they think the plantains are doing while they, both thieves and ghosts, haunt the space and land these greens been ordained to grow on. No, there is no church in the wild, but nature has its laws to protect the saints, and what's more holy than growing despite the knife of the rope, lynching the fruit of your labor. Tropical America, they erase. Stolen land, we remember. If the fruit don't fall too far from the tree, explain our diaspora, because we everywhere. 2, I don't know a growing pain stronger than being both living and not human. If the earth swallowed me now, at least I'll know I'll die a real as G. No, my ancestors will wait for me at the gates. No, this body might arrive from a lab, but this spirit been homegrown since before the boat. I don't give an F how a colonizer feel. A colonizer ain't done nothing for me, but remind me why my homies can't breathe, why my mama got a pain in her back, why my anxiety flares at the siren, the transatlantic human trafficking, the displacement, Jim Crow, revisionist storytelling, 3 countries, still no land to call home. All we own is bullet holes and plastic cups we can't recycle, the Becky, the cops on speed dial, the fluoride in my tooth from all that Project City water, the 4x4 apartment, the pigeons on watch, the drugs in the stairway, the homies growing up in and out of Rikers, the babies waiting for their daddies to come home, the mamas waiting to breathe and take a day off when the daddies come home, the mamas who never get a day off even when the daddies come home, the daddies who never get home, the daddies whose bodies make it home, the men who lose their spirits because the white man's prisons beat it out of them, the homies who never get to come home to themselves. You feel me? So you see why sometimes we just be dying to come home, how sometimes that is the love story. Black people make it home, the end. All I be trying to do is make it home. How sometimes dying is the first and last time we get to make it home. Maybe that's why we stay so ready to die. I don't know a lullaby more joyful than what the Black body sings when it arrives home, unscathed, bruised but here. Don't know a story more resilient than being Black, both dead and alive, and I hope I survive to see the day. We don't have to die to make it home, all of us. To be Black is to mourn every lynching, every broken heart, every time the sun is out and sky is pouring. I know somewhere a Black mama is mourning. I don't know where she is, but I am sure, and I am weary. 3, they do not ask me if I am weary, for they do not care to see what they have done to me. They take hostage everything yearning, yearn to hostage everything I am. Everyone yearns to run away from them, to rest and to sleep. I wonder if they know how easily I become mush, how soft this sun body can be, how I'm made of more water than soil, how this existence means more to them than me, how I am everything without them, and they are nothing without the bomb, the chain, and the whip. What do they seek to be except all that I am? Why can't they make something up and leave my tired ass alone? Sorry, my toddler is crying out. 1 second. He's watching YouTube Kids and he locked himself out and he's very upset. 1 second. Okay, 1 second, Rio. There you go. Shout out to the mamas. Yes, shout out to the mom. Okay, there it is. It's very passionate. Okay, so 3. Rio, vete para el cuarto. Let's get in the room. Go. Vete. Okay. I wonder if they know how easily I become mush, how soft this sun body can be, how I'm made of more water than soil, how this existence means more to them than me, how I am everything without them, and they are nothing without the bomb, the chain, or the whip. What do they seek to be except all that I am? Why can't they make something up and leave my tired ass alone? What do they cry about if not how they wish the sun loved them like she adores me? What is a weapon if not a cry for love? What is a genocide if not revenge against God? You think you can break something so impermeable. You tried it. You cut my roots and they birthed 1,000 more. 4, I wonder how they think we green things made it. How we turned their dollar signs into culture. How come the cargo's still here? How we sustenance for the poor. How we learn to save a life, to live as if our legacy was laughter. We sway with the wind of the storm, water our leaves with the cry of the heavens, drink mud with the children and listen to their feet dance. Bitch who came from sugarcane and the falling of an empire. No, to grow from the root of my mama's tit. No, to be ripe is to be ready for harvest or death. No, to rest like it is my greatest accomplishment. No, the machete will hurt, but my blood will leave a stain. For I, fruit or starch, am ready to die if it means to finally be free. Thank you.
Thank you, Mela. And that is Plantains and Are Becoming, her book selection she just read for us. Thank you so much. We love your work and appreciate you being here. Next up, we are going to hear from Adaku, who is a organizer, healing practitioner, coach, and strategist that many of us know and admire and hope to become like, honestly. So I'm gonna let you do your thing. And this is my baby. This is baby Herbert. He'll be here.
Baby. Oh, I'm trying to become like y'all. We are all trying to become more like the people. Hey, comrades. Hey, beloveds. It's so good to be in your midst. Again, my name is Adaku Uta. I use all pronouns. I am currently beaming to you all from Lenni Lenape land, also known as Edgewater, New Jersey, by way of Lagos, Naija, where a lot of my people are from, where I was raised, and lands that have taught me a lot about how to turn and face colonization and bring our people together to figure out how we might get free. For those who can't see me, I am a hella dark-skinned, non-binary person with a red Kofi hat, some aqua glasses, a golden septum, gorgeous background. Thank you, Fresco, whoever designed this background for Sunday school. I'm also wearing an aquamarine turtleneck and a green olive keffiyeh from Palestine. And y'all, whew, what a time that we are in right now. These first few weeks of this new administration has been raining down executive orders coming down so fast that it takes my breath away sometimes. We know that they're going after things that we hold so dear and have been fighting so long for, trying to come for birthright citizenship, attacking our trans family, rolling back on environmental protections that our children, literally the children in this room and the generations that are coming depend on. And when I think about my friends who are checking their children's papers before school, or the trans young people in my life who are worried about returning home, or elders like my parents who are concerned about their healthcare being taken away, I am heartbroken. I am angry. And I also feel on purpose. I also feel very, very connected to my people and a lot of folks up in here. Like many of you, as these executive orders were coming, I was spending time supporting community defense teams and making sure that doctors were committing to not criminalizing trans young people, and building safety plans with our migrant fam. And so many of you have been showing up. And it's not a small thing to show up in this time, to get up out of bed and say that my life is worth living. So I want to offer gratitude first. We say Imela in Igbo land. Thank you for the role that you are choosing to play right now. So whether you're an organizer, a parent, a cultural worker, a doula, a healer, a parent, a friend, thank you for resisting complacency. Thank you for turning and facing our people, even as these systems and institutions have been betraying us over and over again. And most of all, thank you for holding our lives as sacred and making sure that we feel that we are worth fighting for until the very last drop. And all of this is a lot. It is a lot, and it's going to get harder. It's going to get more complex. It's going to get more chaotic. It is going to get more and more dwindling of our systems. We're holding all of this with the echoes of a pandemic that's still going on and genocides that are waging in places like Myanmar and Palestine and Sudan and Congo, and also navigating the climate catastrophe that we're in right now. Our bodies, the earth body, are central arenas where political authority takes shape and tries to exert their own influence. So in every policy, every order, every new restriction, we see how power wants to control not just our actions, but literally our very existence. Our bodies are the living architecture through which social norms, social ideas, whether they're new or they're familiar, are enforced and preserved. So how we show up, how our bodies show up right now matters. And it has always mattered since the beginning of time. And I know for a lot of people that there are a lot of reasons right now why turning and facing despair might feel like a logical thing to do. And the weight of this moment might be pulling us under. And I want to remind us that every single thing that you are feeling right now in this moment holds wisdom, holds power. So if you're up in here and you are feeling angry, I want to say thank you for your anger, for choosing not to normalize supremacy and sounding the alarm of what is trying to destroy our people. And if you're here feeling depressed, I want to thank your heart. I want to thank your heart for caring so deeply about our people that you know what's at stake right now. If you're numb and you can't feel anything at all, I'm grateful for the wisdom of your body protecting yourself right now and helping you titrate in this moment, helping you figure out what can you feel, what can't you feel, so that you can be intact until you're ready to feel some more again. And I know that there are folks who are feeling hopeful, and I thank your hope. I celebrate your ability to imagine into the future and to see yourself and to see some of us, hopefully all of us, up in that future, and reminding us of what is possible when we come together and weave ourselves together. You might be feeling other things like confusion and desperation and exhaustion, y'all. We have been out here in these streets. Or maybe there are emotions that you can't even name or you can't discern. Know that your feelings are a compass pointing you towards what matters, what you value, what we value. And also, it points us towards what we must defend and what we must protect. And right now, speaking of what we must defend and protect, there's a lot of contradictions in the midst of that we're wrestling right now. And a few of the ones that keep coming up in the organizing circles, including some of the organizing circles in this space, are how do we respond to these immediate attacks while making sure that we got our eyes on building long-term power? How do we build deep, trusting relationships, y'all, even as we grow to scale to what our people need? How do we create movement spaces like this one where we center joy and rest without bypassing or hiding the reality of what our people are moving through? And y'all, how do we make sure that folks who are working class and poor people feel belonging in our movements, especially when our movement landscapes can be reinforcing behaviors that create hierarchies on who matters and who doesn't? And how do we stay sustainable for the long haul? How do we fortify ourselves, and not just ourselves, but our people for the long haul? Just like us, contradictions do not have binary answers, y'all. So rather, contradictions invite us to be flexible, to be inside of complexity, and remind us of the multiple truths that exist right now that we get to hold and move away from either or thinking. Every contradiction becomes a teacher, showing us how to be more nuanced, more creative, and hopefully a little bit more compassionate with ourselves and each other. So right now, let's practice. Right now, I want to hold up a mirror to your memory and just reflect back what's already here. Y'all got some stuff up in here, and we got stuff up all around us. I want you to remember these 4 words as things get chaotic and even more complicated: people, power, pace, purpose. People, power, pace, purpose. People, power, pace, purpose. Now, each of these 4 words will come with a practice. And before we go into practice, we're all building a world where we can self-determine what happens to us. So to practice that in this space, I welcome you to be in practice in a way that honors what your body knows. Your body knows a whole lot better than I do, so feel free to follow the invitations that I offer you, and also express your boundaries with me. If you're like, I'm not trying to do that, don't do it. And feel free to just keep moving towards what invites more care and groundedness with you. We'll be in this for about 5 more minutes. And even right now, choose will invite more power, more care, and connection with you. So find a position that allows you to be seen by yourself, not by us, but by you. And one that is a little bit more caring, even if it's 2% more right now. For some of you, that might be laying down, curled up underneath a weighted blanket or by your kid. For some, you might need to pace around your room, walk real fast for a second. And others, you might be swaying gently in the chair or sitting still. And if this position changes throughout the practice, that's totally fine. You do not have to isolate or police yourselves. Number 1, people. This administration will try really hard to permeate everything that we believe about ourselves and each other. It will force us to shrink and normalize ourselves into separation, scarcity, and supremacy. We are going to have to choose again and again, what is the lens that we will see and respond to the world? What is the frame we will see and support each other? You will need to remind yourself, who are your people? You will need to remind yourself that you are a part of the people. You are a part of us. If it feels right, place one hand on your heart. And if you want, you can extend the other hand outward or place it somewhere that feels comfortable. Wherever your hand is, imagine it connecting with community that you care for and cares for you. Feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat, this persistent rhythm that is alive with purpose. Let this pulse remind you that you are alive. It's no mistake that you're alive right now. If you can, feel the weight of your feet or whatever your body is connected to, or whatever your body is being supported by. Let that connection remind you of who holds you up, who cares for you, who loves you, who sees you. If you can, go ahead and make a promise to our people. What will you not sacrifice for each other? Feel free to repeat after me. We will not sacrifice each other for individual recognition. We will not sacrifice each other for money. We will not sacrifice each other for access to power. We will not sacrifice each other for policy wins, quick policy wins. We will not sacrifice each other for elite acceptance. We will not sacrifice each other for respectability politics. We will not sacrifice each other for false safety. Instead, y'all, we will practice. We will practice. We will practice sharing what we can. We will practice growing power from within and around and amongst. We will practice ancestral innovation. We will practice sustained resistance. We will practice committed momentum. We will practice strategic risk. We will practice accountable hope. Number 2, power. Our bodies are sites of harm, but they are also sites of profound power, healing, and liberation. And when the world feels out of control, we can often grasp for whatever control that we can find, turning that revolutionary impulse of transformation into a harsh discipline of the self. Sometimes when we can't control what's happening on the outside, we control each other by choosing to perfect and purify ourselves and one another. We build our power through practice, y'all. Intentional and deliberate action that moves us in alignment with who we want to be and become. To practice is to remember that we are an essential part of the whole, as we are, flaws and mistakes. To practice is to divest from what is violent, what is punishing, what is unsustainable. To practice is to invest in this love of freedom and for ourselves. To practice is to organize, y'all, and create the conditions that our people need to exist. So right now, if you desire, place your hand on your belly and let your hand feel the connection between your palm and your belly. Let yourself be held by your own touch. Remind yourself of the power that already flows through you like a river. What are the gifts that you bring? What are the gifts that echo right now that we and you need? Remember, fam, there are ancestors and transcestors who are moving through your bones, passing you blueprints of how to exist in this moment. You already know, you already have some tools. Number 3, pace. This administration is trying to determine our pace, y'all, and we cannot let them. The pace of shock and awe moves fast, it's haphazard, and it's so not fucking strategic. We will not move at a pace that doesn't encourage us to see our people. Even when we're encouraged to move at a pace that blames and scapegoats each other. Sometimes we'll be forced to move at a pace that appeases and complies. And sometimes we're going to be asked to move at a pace that leaves our bodies behind. So right now, notice the rhythm of your body. What is your pace that invites more presence? Check out the rhythm of your breath. Check out the temperature in your skin. And let your body answer this question. What is the pace that allows for you to exist in our people to exist? What is the pace that allows for you and our people to exist? The last one, y'all, purpose, purpose, purpose. Fascism creates distrust between ourselves and each other. Trust begins with remembering and being honest about who and how we are. So go ahead and place a hand on any part of your body that reminds you of your own freedom. Feel how that part moves and already knows how to be free, even beyond your own understanding. Let your body answer this question. Who do you need to be so that we can all be free? Who do you need to be so that we can all be free? You might need to be more strategic. You might need to be humble. Maybe you need to stop over-promising and under-delivering. Maybe you need to honor your grief that's moving through your chest. Maybe you need to speak less and listen more. Maybe you need to join this political home and find your people. Come through to Dream Defenders and so many other formations that have been here for a minute, not just showing up in this moment. And maybe you need to tell the truth to yourself. So let your hands fall wherever they need to fall right now, and just take a moment to offer gratitude to yourself for being as present as you can, where you can. And remember, family, remember your people. Remember your power. Remember your pace. Remember your purpose. I got 2 additional things I'm going to drop in the chat and then pass it on. 2 tools, practical tools for the people who are like, I need some additional things, but a little bit more practical. Building Movement Project, the spot that I work in, we've developed a really incredible transformative solidarity practice guide that you can use in your community today. If you're like, how do I build solidarity with my comrades right now? We got a practice guide for you. We also have a really amazing partner, Muslims for Just Futures, who's been doing some dope ass community defense work in the Shy, and they cultivated a community defense hub filled with all kinds of resources around infrastructure, around building fiscal support, around know your rights. And so I'll drop those 2 links there. Resources that you can use right here, right now, to make sure that our people, our power, our pace, and our purpose are at the center. Appreciate y'all. We do this till we free us. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it.
Thank you so much, Adaku. That was stirring many things for me. So I think we see a lot of resonance in the chat as well. We really thank you for your offering. That was timely and necessary. And I think we're all having things come up for us right now. Who do we need to be to get our people free? Thank you so much. And now I'm going to pass it to Shaquille Fontenot, who is Dream Defenders organizing director and a cultural worker coming out of South Carolina, doing good work in the South. Yeah, pass it to Shaquille. Thank you.
Thank you, Adaku. Thank you, Melania. Ooh, I'm feeling all the feels. Very grateful for all of you. Y'all are embodying the background today. You know, we're just feeling the love flow through. But as Naila mentioned, I'm Shaquille Fontenot, National Organizing Director here at Dream Defenders. And I wanted to thank all of you for joining us today and considering your part in something much larger than yourselves, and that's liberation. And I'm here as part of an ongoing legacy, a movement that turned into an organization called the Dream Defenders, a movement that was born out of pain, out of anger, and out of a deep and relentless love for our people. On February 26, 2012, the US shook up, the world shook up. A tremor ran through space and time from a small town in Florida where Trayvon Martin was murdered and an entire generation felt it. We were younger than we are now, students, artists, teachers, organizers, but we were awake and we made a choice. We weren't going to stand by and bear witness to yet another life being stolen without action. youth march from Daytona Beach, Florida to Sanford, Florida, where Trayvon was killed. And by the next year, folks in the organization mobilized activists from all over the US and walked into the Florida State Capitol. And they stayed there for 31 days and 30 nights, demanding justice and demanding change. But to be clear, the Dream Defenders were never about protests and not simply a reaction to injustice. We are and have been an organization dedicated to building power in our communities. We are Black femme and non-binary led national formation. We're an organization fighting for safety and a good life for all. Not only are we organizers, strategists, and builders, but we are dreamers. And we know that creating the world our people deserve is possible. We know that capitalism, white supremacy, imperialism, and patriarchy serve no one. Yet we've been brought up in systems and places that tell us there is no alternative, that tells us if we just work hard, we don't have to climb that mountain. We can have the American dream once we follow the rules. But what they don't tell us is that we have to climb that mountain with a boulder strapped to our backs, while the billionaires frolic about wasting resources, funding repression and oppression, and stealing our labor. And those who built this system know it. The ruling class who profit from our suffering are afraid. Y'all see it? They see their mythology crumbling. They are grasping for comfort and grasping for solutions because they realize that their so-called superiority is a lie built on terror and disregard for life. And they'll do whatever it takes to hold on to that power. As Melania said, they want to be us so bad. What do they seek to be but all that I am? We see it in the hundreds of executive orders, the policies passed in moments of crisis to maintain control, the militarization of our communities, the elimination of indigenous presence and land, the criminalization of our youth. They're trying to get rid of us. The economic chokehold on countries that could be international allies, that could be helping us free ourselves, the funding of multiple concurrent genocides. This is not just politics as usual. This is a strategy of exploitation designed to keep all working class people disoriented, to keep us afraid, to make us believe that we have no power. During his first week in office, Trump signed dozens of executive orders attacking everything from immigration and climate protection to healthcare and education, eliminated federal diversity programs, rolled back policies defining gender, made it harder for all of us to access housing, reproductive care, education, and economic opportunity. Our LGBTQ plus siblings are under attack. Thousands of migrants being arrested by ICE in schools and hospitals, places that should be safe for learning, places for learning and for healing are being turned into battlegrounds. Meanwhile, the cost of everything is rising, from groceries to rent, while the wealthy hoard resources and fuel endless wars. The problem is that the politicians and the corporate elite think they have hijacked our imaginations. They believe that we won't find out there are alternatives to these systems. Adaku reminded us what is possible when we weave ourselves together. They want us to believe that there is no alternative to this society of haves and have-nots, but we're here to tell you otherwise, and we know better. We defend the dream by actively building it. A dream defender is someone who refuses to accept the world as it is and fights for the world as it should be. We're helping to build the world without cages, cops, and colonialism. We're fighting for something beyond reform, beyond representation, and beyond inclusion. We fight because we believe that every single person deserves a prosperous life, one where food, shelter, healthcare, education, and safety are guarantees. We ain't asking for too much. We do this because we are guided by love, the kind of love that eliminates the distance oppression tries to create between us, the kind of love that holds us accountable to each other, that pushes us past our comfort, past the identity politics, and one that sustains us when the cameras move on, when the numbers dwindle, and when the victories feel far away. Organizing in this moment means we do not simply react, we build. We do not just resist, we create. Organizing is not just about fighting back, it's about forging the systems, relationships, and power we need to sustain ourselves in the face of this repression. It's not the first time our people have been through this. It's about survival. It is about direct action. It is political education. It is making sure our people have food and housing, that they know their rights, that they are connected to a larger movement fighting for a world where we are not just surviving, but thriving. It isn't just protest or policy. Organization is about culture, and it's about healing. Culture shapes how we dream, how we remember, and how we resist. The ruling class spends billions controlling our narratives. But our music, art, and stories break those limits, and they're not for sale. From freedom songs to the murals honoring our ancestors, cultural work is organizing. It turns grief into power and isolation into action and community. We're not just fighting oppression, we're creating the culture of liberation. Our fight for freedom doesn't stop at the borders of any state or the imagined borders of this country. We've stood historically in solidarity with the people of Palestine, with movements for Black liberation in Brazil and Ghana, all across the diaspora, and with those resisting oppression across the globe, because our struggle is one struggle. And you know the old adage, none of us is free until all of us are free. Freedom needs fighters because liberation will not come to us. It must be built, it must be protected, and it must be fought for. And that fight is not for the weak-hearted. It's for those that know that justice is not given but taken. It's for those that understand that the long arc of history does not bend on its own. It bends when we grab both hands and pull. The Dream Defenders have spent over a decade fighting through direct action, through political education, through the creation of real alternatives to police and carceral systems like the Healing and Justice Center in Miami. We're building what safety and community care look like beyond police, prisons, and punishment. We're organizing not just to resist the violence of this system, but to create the future that we all want. It's about showing up and caring for one another, feeding each other, protecting each other, creating systems of safety and survival that this world refuses to give us. And we can't do it alone. If you're on this Zoom, if you're listening to these words, watching it later, then you have a role in this fight. You have a responsibility to dream, to organize, to disrupt, and to build. Because the truth is, history has shown us that people have to create new things together. There is no single elected leader, no influencer, no figure that will free us. It will take all of us. It will take discipline, commitment, and sacrifice. It will take community, and it will take unshakable faith and belief in the people. Whenever I start to feel weary in this fight, I remind myself of a couple of things. $1 trillion of propaganda ain't work on me. Hundreds of years of oppression ain't stopped my ancestors and yours either. And if you're here on the line or listening later, it's not stopping you either. So the question is, what will you do with your clarity, with your power, with your love? Who do you need to be so we can all be free? The fight for liberation isn't something in the near future. Our unity is an active, living, breathing thing, and it lives inside of each freedom fighter. Hate and injustice might have well-funded soldiers, but they aren't strong as the soldiers on the freedom side. Freedom needs fighters, and we know it's a numbers game. We have to fight not just because we believe victory is inevitable, because we do, but because our love of freedom demands nothing less. If you are in need of a political home, we invite you to join Dream Defenders. Our membership orientation is this Thursday. Somebody drop that link in the chat. Thursday, February 6th. My time is up, but a reminder is we have to fight not just because we believe victory is inevitable, but because our love for freedom demands nothing less. Adaku said it: people, power, pace, purpose. Thank y'all.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Shaquille. Dream Defenders National Organizing Director coming out of South Carolina, doing amazing work. Shout out to Dream Defenders, our members, our squads. We have squads across the country. We were birthed out of the pain and love for Trayvon Martin in Florida. And a few years ago, we became a national organization, and Shaquille helps us do that work and grow into other places. So shout out to CJ Giordano, shout out to Malu, shout out to our organizing team, shout out to Dream Defenders members on the line. Lama, I seen you. Bryce is here. Danica is here. Erica is here. We were representing so thick in the attendees right now. Love to you all. We do such good work, and we do it rooted in love, and we do it for our people. So thank you so much, Shaquille, for that. And I have the pleasure now of moving us into a conversation to hear from Dr. Barbara Ransby, who, you know, another one we should all want to be like, who we love and appreciate and are so blessed to be in this movement with. So with that, I'll pass it to Dr. Barbara Ransby.
Thank you, Naila. Oh my goodness, you have me following Shaquille. That was so inspiring. I want to thank the Dream Defenders. I'm honored to be on this panel on a Sunday morning. What a fierce and fabulous panel of inspiring voices and lives. Shaquille, Fresco, Naila, Daku. I see you, I love you, I appreciate you. And whenever Dream Defenders ask me to do something, I will do whatever I can to answer that call. Dream Defenders, as Shaquille said beautifully, is an ambitious and radically inclusive project, not throwing any of our people under the bus and also not allowing others to shrink our ambition for freedom. It is about defeating racial capitalism. It is about defeating white supremacy and heteropatriarchy. And it is about stepping into our full humanity and taking all our people with us. So that's the project. And we are called upon in these difficult times. I'm reminded of our beloved Grace Lee Boggs. You know, it is a time where we need to grow our souls. We have to be big enough, brave enough, strong enough to respond to this moment. We have to win the hearts and minds of other people, and we have to be strategic in doing so. Harriet Tubman's words are telling. You know, she had that famous quote. She said, "I freed many enslaved people, but I could have freed many more if only they had known they were slaves," which is telling us something, because we have to do the kind of work that exposes the lies and the corruption and the callousness of the system in a way that makes people want a different kind of society, not just want it, but feel that it's possible. We have to embrace discipline and strive for as much clarity as possible in this moment. We have to play not only defense, and people will know I'm not one to use a sports metaphor, but defense and offense go together. We can't be consumed by fear, and we can't be consumed about responses simply to what's being thrown at us. We have to also hold on to those dreams that Dream Defenders remind us of. We have to fight for a better future at the same time we resist what is right in front of us in this moment. And it is a serious thing we are confronting. So I'm going to share some reflections with you this morning, and it's morning in Chicago. Oh, it's actually afternoon in Chicago now too. I started this project in the morning. But I'm going to share with you some reflections, and it involves bad news and good news. And much of you know the bad news already, and many of the other speakers have already spoken to it. We are witnessing the assemblage of an American fascist state. The characteristics and contributors to this assemblage have been in place for a while. Adaku already alluded to the shock and awe strategy that we're seeing come at us. We are seeing it happen in education, where we see a dismantling and a dismemberment of any semblance of diversity, which was anemic to begin with, but we're seeing an all-out attack on Black, Latinx and gender studies and sexuality studies, an attack on our trans students and our immigrant students. We're seeing an attack on, as Trump puts it, radicals and Marxist scholars, and anyone who dares to speak out on Palestine. The so-called protection of academic freedom is quickly evaporating. Student aid is being cut and student debt likely to soar. And with Trump's order to dismantle DEI and so-called woke programs, he also pledged to, quote, train a generation of patriotic students. But we have to see that as our challenge too, because what he has in mind is schools and universities that are more white and more right. But we have to build a generation of students that are willing to fight for freedom and willing to fight for a dream of justice, a just and free future. A week ago, Trump put a freeze on all foreign aid. This literally signals death for many of our people in the global South. The PEPFAR program was closed down temporarily. That means AIDS medication can't get to people who need it. Children are literally starving to death in camps in Sudan because of this policy. ICE raids in cities across the country, including here in Chicago, is literally putting handcuffs and dragging our people out of our communities. The heartless attack on our trans siblings is vicious and unrelenting, assaulting their dignity and their very lives. The revenge crusade that's just beginning is going to continue. And when Trump finished settling his score, he is likely, and when I say he, I mean he and his cronies are likely to turn the attention to us. We've already seen a preview of this. People are fired indiscriminately and without cause. People will be persecuted and prosecuted. And of course, he is putting together a rogues gallery to carry out these policies: sexual predators, sadists, pathological liars. Pete Hegseth's mother, even his own mother, condemned him. I mean, she later walked it back, but I mean, how low can you go? R.F. Kennedy Jr.'s cousin sent out a letter describing him as a predator who keeps birds of prey for pet and grinds up mice and baby chickens to feed them. The new Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, shot and killed the family puppy because it was untrainable. I mean, these are some callous and cruel people. Trump himself called the LA catastrophe and the plane crash over the Potomac results of some kind of DEI hiring. So this is what we're up against. These are some sick and heartless people, and now they have a lot of power, a lot more power than they did before. I mean, state power is not an abstraction. We talk about it sometimes like it is, but it's not an abstraction, it's real. So we have to keep the seriousness of the moment in the forefront of our minds. We also have to keep in our hearts the larger world situation. We have witnessed over the last 15 months the orchestrated genocide against the people of Gaza happening in real time and captured and projected in gut-wrenching images. And I've been thinking about that lately as we see these executive orders roll out from the White House. You know, Gaza in some ways is a moral litmus test for what the world will accept. And perhaps in a twisted way, it is preparing the world for what we're about to see unfold in this country much closer to home. Not a genocide, but a repression and a hardship and a violence that we have not seen in our lifetimes. So we have to continue to speak out in solidarity with the people of Gaza. We have to continue to fight for our own communities and ourselves and understand the connection between the two. Now, when I speak of the violence that's coming, I do literally mean violence. I mean, there's the violence of poverty and hunger. There's the violence of racism, but there's also physical violence. And when Trump exonerated the January 6th vigilantes, it was not a symbolic act. It was a sign of things to come. All dictators have their goon squads, their paramilitaries, their street thugs. Hitler had the black shirts, and Trump has his. It was essentially a green light to racist mobs everywhere. Now, we also have friends and comrades all over the world who have lived through dictatorships, who have resisted dictatorships, who have watched dictators rise and ultimately watched dictators fall. We need to talk to them. We need to learn from them. The country and the world is at an inflection point. And the bad news is that our movements are not quite ready. But we have to get ready. And most importantly, we can. Racial capitalism has taken off its mask. The pretense of democracy is falling by the wayside. Flagrant violations of constitutional law all over the place. But this is not the end of the story. And while they are many, we are more. And I want you to think about that. Even if we just look at the election, 70 million people voted for, 70 million plus people voted for Trump, 70 million plus people voted for the Democrats. Almost 90 million people did not vote. Now, what that means is that Trump didn't have a majority. And there are many people who we need to reach out to, who we need to build with, who we need to listen to in our organizing efforts. I want to say this before I talk about you saying I said good news and bad news, and it's only been bad news, but there is good news. But I think we do have to pause and reflect on some of the misanalyses of what happened in this last election season. And I know that I'm speaking to Dream Defenders community, which is a community that understands both the importance and the limitations of the electoral arena. It's not the only locus of power. It's not the only place we struggle, but it is an important site of struggle. Some pundits, including left-leaning pundits, have argued that this is an example of the Democrats having abandoned the working class. Well, the Democrats did abandon the working class, but of course the Republicans have abandoned the working class too. So it's even there. What was different is Trump leaned in and gave people scapegoats. He relied on racism and fear-mongering and lies as a way to win that election. And I think we have to understand the role of racism in the rhetoric that Trump put forward. I mean, for anybody paying attention, it should be obvious. But it was not simply a class-based argument. It was an argument that vilified Mexicans, vilified Black people in the cities, vilified trans folks, and vilified the left. But particular communities that we come from, people of color communities, were targets in a way we have not seen in a very long time in this kind of concerted way, right? It was, again, taking the mask off. For the Democrats, they leaned right instead of leaning left in their appeal. Traveling around the country with Liz Cheney instead of Rashida Tlaib, was a decision. And that decision partly shifted in this election. But I want to come back to that 90 million people. Because what is the good news? The good news is that we have the power to organize. We have to make some self-corrections. We have to tell some hard truths. But organizing is the challenge in this next period. There is, what I want to say is this, the situation of the ruling class in this country, it may seem like they're operating from a position of strength, but actually it's a very divided ruling class with a lot of very intense crises to navigate. And in some ways, this move toward more fascist rule instead of more bourgeois democratic rule is a sign more of a weakness than a strength. The ongoing climate crisis, unchecked big tech with all of its contradictions, and the financialization of capital are all variables that have created certain instability. And we can talk about these more in another context, but have created a certain instability in 21st century racial capitalism. The oligarchs and the popular fascists also have their rifts. We've seen some of those developed, seen some of those foregrounded in recent public policy debates. And perhaps most importantly, they are not gods or kings. They are flawed and fractured and jumbled, and meanness and money can only take them so far. When we think of our challenge to organize and strategize and persevere, I can hear the voice of my daughter Asha in my ear with her own very powerful example that we have to think of ourselves as more than activists. We have to think of ourselves as organizers, and Dream Defenders understand this very well. We have to tap love to fuel our collective spirit and our work. 3 critical things I think we need to do in this moment to get in formation. When I say organize, I don't mean just talk to the people that agree with us. I mean talk to the people that may not agree with us, the people who may be a bit confused, the people who want systemic change but don't know how they want it, right? We have to create on-ramps for people to join our movements. One of the obstacles to that has been our dependency on philanthropy. We have to wean ourselves from philanthropy so that we put ourselves more in community, so that we're organizing people at work sites, so we're organizing people on campuses and in our neighborhoods. Now, we might not have time to wean ourselves. There might be a sharper break, not of our choosing. But when we rely on our communities to support our movements, we're in a much stronger position. And we position ourselves as organizers in a different kind of way. I think that's a real challenge, and I know there's debate about it within movement circles, but I think this is an important direction that we have to go in this period. And maybe the crisis of this moment has created an opportunity to make that pivot. We also have to create big tent strategies and struggle on multiple fronts. We have to, in a sense, politically walk and chew gum at the same time. We have to fight in the electoral arena. We have to fight in the legal arena. We have to fight in the streets, and we have to fight around culture. Hearts and minds is a critical arena, right? We have to ask the question, as someone said earlier, not only what do we want others to do to make change, but how will we also change ourselves in the process? How do we become the kind of people who will live easily in a different kind of society? Now, I know my time is running thin, so I will leave you with this. We've talked a lot about ancestors in this, and I'm probably one of the older people on this call. on this panel. But what we know is that our ancestors, our grandmothers and grandfathers, our uncles and aunties fought more coordinated and ruthless and relentless enemies than we are facing now. I know that may be hard to believe, but it's true. They found the strength to persevere. They found the strength to love each other through it. Let's draw on their strength. Let's take inspiration from their examples. When we think of James Baldwin's words, we can also seek and find inspiration. He said, "I know what I'm asking is impossible, but in our time, as in every time, the impossible is the least that one can demand. And one is, after all, emboldened by the spectacle of human history in general. And," he said, "the American Negro, I'm going to say Black, history in particular, for it testifies to nothing less than the perpetual achievement of the impossible." So let's make what may seem impossible possible, not only possible, but irresistible. Let's love and organize like our lives and the lives of people around us depend on it, because quite literally they do. And as my dear friend and comrade Kathy Cohen reminded me yesterday, this is a long-term fight. This is an intergenerational struggle. Let's feel the urgency of now, but also simultaneously build and invest in the long term. I will stop there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ransby. That was so grounding. Sorry, child is pulling the earring. Very grounding, giving us such a wide perspective of all that we are facing and all that we need to build to continue to fight this. Your words always help me get through the day. So again, thank you. I know you have to leave soon, but there's lots of love being showered upon you in the chat. I hope you get a chance to read it. And now I'm going to pass it to Sierra Taylor, a comrade, a homie of mine, for a fellow co-founder of the Dream Defenders. We've been in this together for 13 years. Sierra is an organizer, a historian, a culture worker, a singer, an imaginer, a radical creative, and somebody that I've just, had the pleasure of knowing for more than a decade and being in this struggle with. So I'm going to pass it to Sierra to talk a little bit more about her journey and like what all is going to take.
Ooh. Shout out to my crew. Let's start a revolution. I'm really appreciative, grateful, honored to be on today with my comrades, the Dream Defenders, my family. I love you all so much. Dr. Ransby, oh my goodness. I remember first meeting Dr. Ransby. You sent out an invitation. I want to say it was probably 2013. And invited many of us from different parts of the country, different parts of the movement, to come together and learn from you and Dr. Cohen. And just the importance of knowing our history is something that has stuck with me, and to learn from revolutionaries of the past who have made it through times like these, so we can learn from their struggles. Learn from their lessons and proceed. And in that, I wanted to open up with a poem. For those who know me, this is just what I do, especially when I'm nervous. I don't know why I get nervous around y'all. I love y'all. But this poem was actually shared with me by a comrade from Argentina. She shared it with me after 45 was elected the first time, and was sharing the lessons from organizing around fascists and dictatorships in Argentina, and shared this poem by Paco Arundo, who was a poet and militant who was killed under such times. And it's called Instructions for Bad Weather. In the first place, do not despair. And in case of disaster, do not follow the rules that the hurricane will want to impose upon you. Take refuge with your people and secure the shutters once all yours are safe. Share mate and conversations with your comrades. Share kisses and clandestine nights with whom assured you tenderness. Do not let stupid prevail. Defend yourself to aesthetics, ethics, be always attentive. It will not be enough for them to impoverish you, and they will want to make you fall with your own sadness. Laugh loudly. It will be imperative to dine together every day until the storm passes. These are simple things, but it is not less important for you to say to your people, good day, please, and thank you, and to spit when they request it of you from above. Struggle with what you have, but never alone. They know how to catch you in the unsuspected loneliness of an afternoon. Remember that art will always be ours. Everything will be fine if you listen to me. We will survive. We are thick-skinned. And let's take care of the kids. They will want to cut their branches. It is necessary to make sure that we share our kindness. We must have those indispensable poems, our guitar, and a red wine in hand. Smile at our elders against daily pain. Be understanding with friends, and do not confuse the naive with the traitors. And even with these, have easy forgiveness for when they return with their illusions lined. No one is left here. And yes, be perseverant and tenacious, write religiously every day, every afternoon, every night. And even when faith is falling apart, in that there will be no truce for anyone. These bastards are hurt by poetry. I just have a little bit of time. I was asked to share some reflections on just the love that I received in my time with Dream Defenders and how that has kept me going in this movement for, over a decade. And so I wrote some things down. I think the most important thing, I'm currently in Illinois right now with my grandmother, and from another revolutionary, Brother Fred Hampton, he always said that you must love the people. And I think that's important as an organizer, to love the people, all of our people, the poor and dispossessed. And to love the people, you have to know the people. You have to be with the people. Another is Dream Defenders is an organization. It is a political home that I hope that everyone on this call, if you haven't already, joins, that you hop on orientation on Thursday and get it popping. But it is not a social club. And understand when sometimes problems arise, that although it may feel personal, oftentimes it's political. And it's important to know the difference between the political contradictions and the personal. And in this political home, this organization, that we can work out political differences and the personal differences. I mean, talk to your therapist, journal, call a friend. But to be very serious about this work, be very serious about this movement and what we are brought together to do, which is to get our people free. But don't take yourself too seriously. That's dangerous. Be gentle with yourself and with our people. A dear comrade, Idaline Bobet, who I met through her organizing work with the Ferguson Uprising, she once told me that life, maybe something like this, but life is long, but it's also short, but it's also long. And that this movement is illustrative of that. The people that you are encountering in this movement will be with you for the rest of your life. Even if you don't know it yet, we'll always find each other in the struggle. And that's something that has been so very beautiful. And I feel like this past couple of years in particular has been a case study, at least for me, and how that has been true. I think about being brought together across the movement and this call to end genocide in Palestine, for a free Palestine, and just how beautiful, even in the tragedy that it has been, that it has brought together so many of us who met over the years, over, decades, in the work, who may not have seen each other, but when it was time for us to take up the struggle with our Palestinian siblings, that we knew that we had to come together, and that we did. And it didn't matter what so-and-so said 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, someone that you cussed out, someone who cussed you out, it doesn't matter. The time for us, it was time for us to struggle and to come together. And it was so beautiful that many of us did and that we were able to. And I think that it's important for us to understand that we have to stay together, because this is a very long and protracted struggle. And even if you feel as though you're fighting on one front or another, that this movement is connected, as many folks on this call have reiterated, none of us are free until we're all free. We have lost many people in this movement over the years, and I carry them with me. I think about our dear brother, Marshawn McCarroll from Ohio. I think about Erica Garner in New York. Of course, I think about Mr. B, Harry Belafonte, who passed, and Danny Agnew, who passed a couple of years ago. Life is short, but it's long, but it's short, but it's long. And then just a few things that OGs have taught me throughout the years. That whenever you feel lost, or you feel like you can't find your way, or you don't know what to do, turn to history. Read memoirs of revolutionaries that have come before us. Sometimes it's important to know when you are needed in this movement, and sometimes it's not the ways that you expect from yourself, or what you expect of what is needed. And that's why it's important to be in relationship, to know what this movement needs. There's a place for all of us, and we find that place together, not alone in isolation. And with that, to take care of yourself, eat well, get some rest, say no when you need to say no. But also to not feel as though you have to have all the answers, or that you have to do it alone. It's important for us to get outside of ourselves. And that's why this work is so crucial. We have to be building community. Our answers are in each other. And for that, we have to be in relationship with one another. And so I know my time is coming to a close, and I'll just close with this. There's a song that was written in 2016 by Angela Gabriel. We were made for these times. It's something that has been in my head and on my heart, and I pray Erica is not going to sing this. I should have totally hit you up to see, but I'm sure you got something in the chamber. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. But the lyrics are, and I won't sing the whole thing, but just wanted to share a little bit with you all to hold in your heart when you need it. But the lyrics are, don't give up hope. We were made for these times. Don't give up hope. We were made for these times. Don't give up hope. We were made for these times. Show your soul. It shines like gold in these dark times. So know that in these dark times, even if you don't feel as though you're ready, everything that you need will come to you through community. That all of the struggles that have led us up to this point will help us get through these times. All the people that you have struggled alongside will help us get through these times. Don't give up hope. We were made for these times. Don't give up hope. We were made for these times. Don't give up hope. We were made for these times. Show your soul, it shines like gold in these dark times. Show your soul, it shines like gold in these dark times. Thanks, y'all. Love y'all. Squad.
Squad. Thank you, Sierra. So blessed to have you here with us. Thank you so much. And now, y'all, we're gonna start winding this thing down in a little bit. We've got a few more guests. You're still here. So many of you are still here. Really appreciate you. I'm gonna pass it to Delaney Vandergrift, our sort of resident young person, Gen Z expert. She speaks from knowledge, experience, and real life. And so, yeah, I'm gonna pass it to my twin Nem, and she's gonna tell us about the state of things and where the youth are at right now. And, you know, I am aging out. So Delaney speaks for the young people. Yeah, take it away.
That's so funny because I feel like I too am aging out. I feel like I'm on the that back end where when people are like, are the young people in the building? I'm just not sure if I should be like, yeah, I just don't know. But I'm really excited to be here with y'all. It's very difficult to speak after everyone that has already spoken. You all, I mean, are always inspiring, but yeah, I just feel excited to say a few words. I don't want to repeat what other people have said. I might a little bit, but I'll breeze through it. I'll try to go quick just in case. So what I wanted to talk about, obviously, is young people, where we are right now. And what came to my heart are some of the traps that I feel like young people are falling into. Because I am the resident Gen Zer, I spend a lot of time on the internet. I do. And I like to see what's going on over there. I was a Twitterer, and now I browse on Facebook more often because that's where Black people are at. And I'm trying to see what we're talking about. And so one of the traps that I feel like young people are falling into, particularly young Black people, is this like anti-solidarity thing that's happening, where if you feel like you voted in the right direction in November, then you did it all. That's all you have to do. We're seeing this like, oh, I was a part of the 92%. And so now I don't have to do anything. I don't have to care about anything else. And what I think is that the best of our tradition, the best of Black movement, the best of movements have all been cross-cultural with other people, and we need each other. And so what I want to say candidly, I know that my tone is a bit different than other folks who have spoken, but the 92% campaign is corny. And so if you are falling into that trap, you've got to escape. You have to escape it. We must stay focused. And we've got to get out of that trap. Thank you for doing what you thought was right at the polls. We really appreciate you. And now next, we have to do other things. And what I want to say seriously, though, is that identity politics has room. There's utility in identity politics. There's utility in being a Black woman and what that means and how I'm experiencing the world. There's utility in folks that are trans talking about their experiences in the world, their material realities. These are really amazing things, but identity reductionism is what's happening and where we're falling short. So we have to be more critical in the ways that we talk about our identities and not allow our identities to walk us off the plank. We can't do it. It's lazy. And we deserve a much better. So on young people, where we're at, it's looking wild out there. It's looking scary, but it's okay. What I understand is that right now it feels like young people don't necessarily have a political home and no political party that is actually representing them. It's being a young person right now is to look out and see one main party that's like scary and full of Klansmen and full of transphobes and people that are awful, and then to look at another place and say, it's interesting that you passed the IRA and also decided to drill as much oil as you could. It's like you want us to live and also die. That is really confusing, right? To be a young person and say, do you actually care about leaving a world for us? And the answer in policy is no. So what do you do? Where do you go? And right now, I think we should all be saying, and looking out at the world and saying, this idea of a society that we live in is not the one that we have to stay in. This is somebody else's idea of what a society looks like. And that idea says there must be exploitation, there must be white supremacy, there must be patriarchy, there must be domination, right? These systems say people that are asking for money at the side of the road, they are supposed to be there. And something that they've done is put them there and they must stay. This system says, thank God you're a first-generation college student. Now you can pull your entire family out of poverty that we created for you. Congratulations, you've made it. Now you get to struggle for the rest of your life, right? It says that your life should be spent trying to own things and then own something else and then buy 10 Stanley Cups and then buy the new thing on Temu. I saw this bra the other day that had a press play button and it looked like you could maybe connect an iPod or something, right? That's what we're hyper consumers. That's what this system says, is your life is about buying something. And I'm a victim. I've fallen short. I like Baggu bags. I have a couple and I don't need all of them, but I do have a couple. I get it, right? These systems, it says, yes, you actually do have to be okay with us bombing folks across the globe. That's good for you, right? It says that it matters more to us, this system, to have 10 to 15 to 20 billionaires on your back. And what I say, what Dream Defender says is no. We say no. We say no personally, no organizationally, and damn it, no ancestrally. We're saying no, absolutely not. And not just because it's fun to be defiant, right? It does feel good when you look at power and you say no, but it also is strategic. We have to intentionally disobey. And not because, again, it's fun, but because if we don't say no, if we don't create something better, then we will not survive. Like, we won't survive. This is like, we Google it. The science says it, we're done, right? And so the systems that are crumbling around us, they may have had some utility to soften the blows of a decaying capitalist project, right? There are things that are crumbling around us and it feels scary and we wish we had more, or we wish that it would sustain. But what if those systems that were following around us were also hurting us? What if we actually can create something better and get more? Is it that you want to own a home, or is it that you want really comfortable, safe, reliable shelter? Is it that water should be privatized, or is it that we should all just have access to water? Should you be able to get rich off of water? Like, these are the conversations that we should be having while a society is crumbling around us. Not what has been, but what is to come. We have to start asking our questions that, and that leads me to my final point. I just saw a little time is running out about a political home. You ask these questions and you get those answers inside of a political home. You do not sit on your own and scroll and try to figure out what neoliberalism is just off of a tweet, but you study and you struggle with people around you. And if you are not prepared to do that, okay, I want you to get prepared, but okay, get off your phone. Get in the field. I know everybody's mama hopefully has told them it's about that damn phone, and it is. If it's mutual aid, go do it. If it's going to a soup kitchen, go do it. You have to get into your community because somebody, even if it's one person, is going to be aligned with you. One person. And you have an opportunity to build something. One more thing, y'all. So when you're finding a political home, we don't need you to be the next like political influencer. I'm talking to people that are not in movement, that are not in organization, that joined this call because they saw a flyer, saw some people on it and say, you know what, I might pop in. I'm talking to you. We don't need you to be the next political protege to run for Congress and then decide that you want to sell out Palestinians, right? We don't need you to do that. We need you to find a place that's rooted in a Black radical politic. That's tough, but we're going to help you do it. And we don't need you to go to a place that's telling you that more Black cops is going to make your community safer, or that doing a buy-in at Costco while they are in the middle of negotiating a contract to get higher wages is a good thing. We don't need you to follow these people on Twitter that are telling you, please don't boycott Target. I need you to buy my brand because it's good for all of us. It's a lie. It's a lie. We need you to get off the phone, get in the field, go find some friends, go to a run club, go to a walk club, go out to eat. I don't know, go to the library, meet some people, and get connected in your community. If the political home that you want isn't in your neighborhood, try to build it. Build a squad, build a chapter of Dream Defenders. And that's my time. Thanks, y'all.
Delaney, the chat is feeling you. The chat is plussing. We needed that today, on today. Thank you very much. Delaney with the dose of truth. I think all of the speakers before Delaney were giving us the dose of truth. That is what Sunday school is here for you to feel and take with you and to resonate with and do more with. Next up, we have another guest that is going to come to us and speak to us about what is going on today. And then again, the ramp down is happening. It is my pleasure to introduce Representative Rashida Tlaib of Detroit. She is here with us, has been with us listening this whole time. Thank you for being here. Come talk to the people.
Thank you so much. So, moment of truth. I work in Congress. Congress is not going to save us. Neither is any political establishment party. I think listening to everyone, it is clear as somebody comes from movement, but also being there for now going on 7 years. I can tell you the establishment institution is just not made out for people like us that are fighting to tear down systemic racism, various policies, to fight back against a lot of these incredibly oppressive policies. So you all know, I was born and raised in the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, the city of Detroit. And I can tell you, you don't get raised by one mother. You get raised by the community mothers. Even though I was this Palestinian girl with whose mom didn't speak hardly any English at the time, and this large family, Palestinian family, the community mothers on the street, they literally leaned in. We're constantly not only telling on us with our parents, but also just, this is how it used to be. Always reminding my seasoned residents to this day said, Rashida, they want to increase eggs. Let me tell you what we did. We're not going to buy their eggs. We're going to go get eggs from a farm. We're going to figure it out. This kind of resistance back in the day, or talking about the fact that, what, if they were going to do that, then we're just not going to, bow down and allow them to continue to oppress us. So in all the work that I've done, I thought, oh, if I run for office, I get in there, I can transform, I can do all this amazing things. And yes, you got to stay connected to movement. but it is an institution, honestly, that is a reminder from Grace Lee Boggs told me over and over again. And I know Dr. Ransby has heard me say this, but I think of the Civil Rights Act. I think of the movement around organizing unions. It did not come from the President of the United States. It did not come from the White House. It did not come from Congress. They didn't wake up one day and say, that's a really good idea. I even tell people, I was sitting there and I had an aha moment when George Floyd Justice and Policing got passed out of the House with 3 Republicans. I said to myself, I never thought I would see that, right? Of course, it dies in a democratically led Senate. Just remember that. It crashed and died there. But one of the things that I said to myself is because people marched, they pushed back, they showed up, they wouldn't stop using their bullhorn to literally say, we got to pass this now. They wouldn't stop. And even here in Detroit, from all the lawsuits we filed from, police officers beating on the protesters. And again, Detroit's known. I mean, we breathe protesting and marching and resistance. And here they go, coming and pounding on our protesters, tear gas and batons and you name it. But it literally pushed all levels of government to do more in regards to state-funded violence. And I am telling you, as somebody who sat there, I looked up and I couldn't believe it. I know it's only 3, but for me, I don't think we would have never got those 3, but for the movement outside of these institutions. So the Civil Rights Act, it came from movement. The right to organize unions is when labor said, you know what, we ain't going to work. We're going to withhold our labor until you allow us to have human dignity, until we can have a level field of us being able to negotiate for our rights at the workplace and our benefits and everything so we can take care of our family. I always say this, the political party establishment and Congress and these institutions, yes, I'm in there. And it is an awakening. You feel like, okay, you're selling out by being there. I can tell you just being there though, people will text me like, yo, there's these member was text me like there's this protest in front of my office in like Philadelphia. And I'm like, I'm not in charge of the protest. I don't know why y'all sending me the video. No, but it feels good because I'm like, they look like they could be your constituents. You should probably go out there and meet with them. Because I'm telling you from campaigns, I'm not going to go into details, but from different things, people will call me and say, hey, the students at so-and-so college. I'm like, I mean, I support them. I don't know who they don't get it. The American people are mobilizing, they're organizing the movement. And I'm telling you, even if it doesn't feel like it, my colleagues are watching. When you show up inside their district, I'm not talking about DC. I always tell people it's great to come out to DC, but they can isolate that from the rest of their constituency back home. They don't like you all showing up to their coffee hours and things. So I say this as it's a tool in a toolbox, right, y'all? Like even when you think about this movement work and pushing back, because the one thing I remind my colleagues, the more oppression hardens, so does resistance. The more resistance hardens. So understanding the more folks are getting pounced, pushed on, blamed, targeted, attacked, the more folks are going to react. And maybe that's what they want. But I think, again, the importance of organizing together and understanding the power that we have. This is not the first time, and Dr. Ransby will tell you, and I love that folks are talking about reading folks from before that went through these struggles, being arrested, beaten up on, almost died, fighting for the right to vote, fighting for even just being able to push back against, against state-funded violence and so much more. It's not the first war and genocide that we've all marched and organized around. Do you understand? My member of Congress who retired, John Conyers, he used to talk about apartheid in the 80s and people like, ooh, South Africa part. He literally was only one. It was so unpopular. I mean, same thing when Black Lives Matter. Now I can't rip Black Lives Matter signs from my colleagues' hands, right? But I say this to you, yeah, they can carry the signs, but what does that really mean, transient vote? But I want you to know there was a memo among the Democrats. Oh, if you see that, step away from that movement, stay away, look it up, y'all. The power that you all have and what you're doing is incredible. And it's being seen and heard on the inside. It just doesn't feel like it because it's not pushing, but I can tell you they're paying attention. And so do this for me, please. Know the power that you have, but also all of you as you come together. There are going to be differences in style. You know, people always say, well, you know, Rashida and I get along, but we have different styles. I know what that means. I ain't stupid. Like they know I'll get arrested for all kinds of, you know, bring it. But I can tell you, you know, there are going to be some in our movement. Maybe they want to write an op-ed. Maybe they want to, you know, do a teach-in at one of the faith-based. I say don't be, because the one thing I notice is we're like, that ain't gonna work. No, let all the tools in the toolbox be used. Let folks use whatever they're comfortable. Because my mom is the type of person, you know, she'll go to a march and stuff, but if I say, hey, mama, you know, you should call in your beautiful accent to your senators and tell them to stop the genocide. She's like, I'm not, I don't want to call anybody. You know, she just feels like, oh, that's too much for her. But she's just one example of many, but it's really critically important that we don't divide based on the different approaches and styles. And Dr. Ransby knows this is a saying that, you know, Malcolm X needed Dr. King, and there was always this divide, but sometimes things that Malcolm X was doing got Dr. King to the table. And sometimes we were like, you know, I see it now, even see it now with movement is when folks do get to the table, we're like, we'll see. As long as we keep them connected to movement, they won't sell us out, hopefully. But again, it's important to understand the tools that we have and the approaches that we all have. You guys are already shaking things up. Again, I sit in caucus, and when I hear my colleagues consistently pushing back and saying, oh, these protests, why do they even eject, no joke, why do they keep mentioning John Lewis, good trouble? That's not John Lewis. I said, what are you talking about? John Lewis put his body on the line, and that's exactly what they're doing. And it's not connecting. I'll leave you with all of this. The power that you have and the fact that you all are the reason that transformative ever changes, ever happens in our country. Anything changes is because of all of you and the work that you all do. And I feel like this is the moment that, you know, we continue to have our moments, but it's just going to make sure that we're connected. A Black pastor taught me that our country's not divided, it's disconnected. We need to connect our movements. And I know Dream Defender has been wonderful in pushing back against oppressive policies around, you know, the fact that many of my colleagues don't believe Palestinians deserve to live. But one thing I think Dr. Ransby was right on, and the moment that I think the genocide has taught us and what is revealed, but I think the reaction from the American people, even people that are not part of maybe our specific movement work, one of the things traveling around the country, I hear from Americans, they are tired of us being addicted to war, to destruction, to death. They're tired of it. When I speak of it in that tone, in that way, you don't have to be Palestinian, you have to be Black, you don't have to be an immigrant, you have to be brown, you have to be trans, you don't have to be any of these things. And understanding that some of our fellow Americans and folks that might not be directly like, oh, they see it, they're done with our addiction to war and death and destruction and greed. And so I can leave you with all of that. I believe in the work that you all do. I'm going to be there. I don't care if I have to do my civil disobedience on the floor and fight back, even if I'm only one of only two of my Michigan delegation that will speak up for our immigrant neighbors. I will continue to speak that truth continually, but all of the work that you do outside of these institutions that weren't built for us, you give credibility to the voice I'm saying. I'm like, it's not me. That's what they're saying out there. And those are American people out there. These are communities out there. And again, they're going to continue to vilify us. They're going to continue to come at us as we do all of this work. Humanize. And what I mean by that is try to heal our souls, because they're trying to make us feel less human, less deserving of feeling seen and heard, less deserving of rights and of protections, and anything we can do to just push back and say, you know, we are just like anybody else deserving of these beautiful things of liberation that truly makes us feel free. But thank you all. I needed this as much as you all did. So I got on early because I was like, I need to hear from all of you, hear from, you know, my 19-year-old son's sitting there talking, and I was like, yeah, you see, you got to get offline. So I told him. You know, it's hard, but we're going to get them there. And don't underestimate the direct human contact. It is how I got elected, y'all. People can't pronounce my name, but they're like, wow, Rashida came to my house. She talked to me. People remember that. And I think we don't utilize that in that toolbox, but love you all. Stay strong. Of course, protect your emotional health. Don't feel guilty that you can't do it all, please, because sometimes we guilt ourselves if we can't show up sometimes fully. And just know I'm there and I'm watching. The way you make my colleagues sometimes feel so uncomfortable, it brings joy to me. So thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care.
Thank you so much, Representative. What did Adaku say in the beginning? People, power, purpose, and
Pace.
Hey.
Fresco came out of the darkness to chime in with that. Thank you. And pace. Get in the field. Talk to your people. Relationships at the end of the day, with all the paths that we have to take, is the thing that is going to get us through each and every time. Relationships and people. So thank you. All right, y'all. Here's the wind down. Or maybe not the wind down, but here's an intermission. We have Erica Cross here, the beautiful, the one and only, the unique, the talented Erica Cross, who's the director of the DD Choir. DD Choir was born at an action in Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee, Florida. We threw on some choir robes and we sang our hearts out at a protest trying to fight against terrible, repressive legislation coming out of the Capitol building in Florida in 2023. And since then, DD Choir has been all around the country, singing at protests. They were just at the People's March over Inauguration Weekend, singing down the house. It is a cultural intervention at this time when, you know, our movements need soul and our movements need so much hope. So Erica is the person in our organization that really takes on that task and is pioneering the way that we make that intervention right now. So Erica, I'm going to pass it to you and let you do your thing.
Thank you all. Thank you all. This has been absolutely amazing. That activation, the first time that we actually had the People's Choir, that was my first political activation. My first time participating with Dream Defenders, like a part of a campaign. And ever since I put on that choir robe and we had the church bands, I cannot go back. So everything that's come along the way has been an amazing experience. And I want to share a song with you all today. I'm going to piggyback off of the poem that Sierra shared with us earlier, Instructions for Bad Weather. And this song is called Love the Rain, adapted by the Sunrise Movement from the original song called Love the Rain by Scott Grace. And I just wanted to share the lyrics with you all before I sing it so you know what I'm saying. The lyrics are, I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it pours. So if you guys are able, you can sing along with me. If you have your tambourines or shakers, you can clap. Whatever feeds your soul and your spirit at this time. I thank you all for being here. I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life stir me deep. I'm gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life serve me. I'm gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. I'm gonna let life move me. I'm gonna let life serve me. I'm gonna let life wake me from an ancient sleep. I'm gonna laugh all my laughter. I'm gonna cry all my tears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears. I'm gonna love the rain as deeply as the sun when it clears.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Erica. Y'all come through. You'll see when you come to the Dream Defenders orientation, you will be a member. And then we have Dream Defenders things. You will get to see the Dream Defenders choir in action. And, you know, let life move you to tears when you get to see it. All right, so the last piece of our day today, the last piece is we're going to hear from some Dream Defender members. I know we heard from some folks from our team, but we're going to hear from people who very recently became Dream Defenders members and let them talk to you about what that has been like. We have been around for a long time. We have invented ourselves. One of the things that I think people really respect about Dream Defenders is that we adapt, we change. If we don't think that something is working, we try to figure it out, right? All in service of this freedom fight and trying to get to the freedom and try to get to the liberations. Dream Defenders has been many different organizations, has been very many different formations. And so, you know, we've got Danica and we've got Bryce coming from DC and from Jacksonville, Florida, respectively. Yes, that's the word. And they're gonna let us hear what it's been like for them. And I'm gonna pass it to Danica first, and then Danica, you'll pass it to Bryce, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. Let me spotlight you, and here you go. Thank you.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Danica from the DC squad. I actually found Dream Defenders at Sunday School at Socialism 2023. So that's kind of interesting. And I had read the book Let This Radicalize You by Miriam Kaba, who was going to speak there as well. She didn't make it. And then I learned about the Dream Defenders, and then I helped found the DC squad. And here I am a little over a year later, and a co-lead and a co-founder. And so what has Dream Defenders meant to me in this moment? A safe, black radical space, because I was reading so much on my own, but I didn't really have anyone to like talk to about it or learn, which is kind of something Sierra mentioned earlier. And so I found a political home. It's also been community and resources and learning. For instance, I meet all sorts of people in the organization where they're just like quoting sources and important figures and theory. I'm like, how do y'all do that? So like it's kind of like iron sharpening iron. So like, again, it's a community resources. I'm learning to do that. It's also a container of like-minded peers. It's kind of like the famous TikTok quote, the girls that get it, get it. That's what's like being in Dream Defenders. And then the sense of belonging, I feel like my participation feeds into collective power that can harness something to remake the world. And we're going to leave behind a better world than what was handed to us. So that's kind of my brief story of Dream Defenders. Bryce?
Yo, I got some notes because if not, I will be talking all day. But initially, like before joining Dream Defenders, just in life, just knowing like something feels wrong about the way that it's being lived. Like working a job you don't want to work, to try and buy a house. Every time it's getting harder and harder. Like just knowing something's wrong, but not really knowing what to really do about it. I'm real like tapped in with my state rep, Miss Angie Nixon. And she was who introduced me to the Dream Defenders. I know they were having a books and brunch at her coffee shop. That's when I had got real tapped in with Malou, and then I went to convening. Oh man, just being in a space of so many like-minded people and just being able to have these conversations so naturally and being able to have fun and it feeling like real change can happen with these people was so moving. Becoming a Dream Defender to me has solidified my commitment to the modern day civil rights fight we need and deserve, as well as show that there's a home in front of us to go to. After being introduced to like the Freedom Papers and really putting it into like perspective, what we're still asking for, it's like something gotta shake because every time we feel like we gotta ask for more and more because more is being taken away from us. But Dream Defenders has allowed me to know that I'm not alone and I'm not blind to all the manipulation in front of us, as well as creating new solutions. Um, but Dream Defenders to me has truly been a village instead of a home. Um, just because of the abundance of love and just community that Dream Defenders really is. A place that's not only to comfort me in times of struggles, but a place to grow my skills for battles with comrades also war ready for a future fair for us all. Um, that's what Dream Defenders has been, and it has been nothing short of that. But that's really all I got.
Thank you, Bryce and Danica. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love y'all so bad. All right, y'all. So this is the end. I want to ask everyone to drop in the chat right now. Those of you that are still here, what are you feeling hopeful about right now? What are you feeling hopeful about right now? Drop it in the chat. 1 word, 2 words, a sentence, a paragraph, whatever. Drop it right now. What are you feeling hopeful about? I want to see him come in. The people, all of you, power to the people, not being alone, community. I feel hopeful, this growing community, hopeful for the future, the revolution, being outside with my people, growing my soul and community. Yes. Soul healing, us coming together, this community, the electric undercurrent of resistance and revolution. Come on, love, power, everything, finding my squad, dreaming and imagining newness. Yes, finding community, 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 growing solidarity, hope to move forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me see those words, letting us all see those words, sharing that together. I'm going to put up a poll real quick, real quick. What are you going to do about it? You feel that hope? Is there a step that you know you want to take? What do you want to do about it? How are you going to plug in? Finding my role. Tap in. I'm fighting it right now. I'm fighting it. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to sing for y'all. We did that. All right. Let's see. Right now, I'm still learning and want to know more is at 39%. Local campaigns, people are ready to fight in their cities, 43%. Arts and culture, 51%. Okay, okay. Political education is at 52 right now. Mutual aid, 49. These ratios, oh, people are selecting multiple things. I was like, how do we have 42 and 49 and 53 and 50? Math. People are selecting more than one thing. People want to throw down in a myriad of ways. There are options, wellness and community care. Lots of people want to do that. I think people are selecting all the things. So folks want to learn more, and there are so many ways to plug in. So many ways to plug in. All right, let's see, let's see. I want y'all to see. Can you see the results? Can you see the results? Not yet? Share results. That's a button. Here we go. Okay. Okay, lots of people want to throw down. Lots of people want to throw down, and we cannot wait to throw down with you. Again, Dream Defenders is having our first membership orientation of the year. They happen multiple times a year, but our first one of 2025 to kick off this year when we're all feeling what we're feeling. We have a next step now. Dream Defenders membership orientation is on Thursday, and we hope, we pray, we wish. We challenge you to come. We just want to see you there. You're still learning. That is great. That is okay. We will be the community that you learn with. Hopefully you learned some stuff today. But if you want to throw down arts and culture, we've got it. Fuck with me, we got it, right? Come on. Come on.